What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Are the Hogwarts Legacy developers actually experienced enough to take care of Hogwarts Legacy's mechanics and systems? I've seen some comments around where some people have said, well, this is a studio that actually made a Disney Infinity game, and they don't seem like the studio that's capable to getting the job done. Now, some of you already know that this is Avalanche Studio. There's also another studio named Avalanche Software. They made Mad Max, but the studio that's actually working on this game, their past games were, Disney Infinity and I think a Cars game. Now, we're going to look at this, and I'm going to basically come from the perspective saying that this development team is quite capable based on what we've seen from the gameplay showcase in terms of game mechanics. I'm not just talking about, oh, the game looks good. No, I'm looking at the mechanics from somebody who actually understands Unreal Engine, development, and I can tell you that these developers know exactly what the heck they're doing. Now, I'm not going to stand on my own authority initially, but I'm going to go with what Troy Levitt, who's one of the minds behind Hogwarts Legacy, actually did say regarding a system just recently. So he posted and said, worried about the Room of Requirement and Hogwarts Legacy being new territory for Avalanche? Don't be. Look at what they did for the Infinity Toy Box in 2013. This is a video that is actually here that he posted, and it shows you pretty much a small documentary that was actually done back in, the day about 9 years ago, where, the development team was able to come up with a system for their Disney Toy Box and how they actually, for their Disney Infinity game called the Toy Box, and how they actually put things together. I've even seen some people asking questions in the comments and saying, are some of the people who worked on, the Disney Toy Box still at the studio? I think the answer to that is yes and maybe no, but it doesn't necessarily matter, because one thing about game development is when you actually have a problem to solve in terms of developing your game, how you go about solving that problem is already going to be established in your game development process and your game design documentation. So let's say, example, we're trying to create a collision system, right? Or a way to do our collision in our video games. And we decide and we find out a very good way to do collision. We go ahead and document that, and we keep that. If a new developer gets hired in terms of the physics part of the engine, that developer is just basically going to follow the notes and the standards that we have in our established methodology of developing video games. This is how video game development works. In fact, if you follow game devs on Twitter, read a lot of their memes and a lot of their jokes. It's usually about game design documents. They will be saying things like, did you read the game design document? Did you read the game design document? Or they'll make jokes about game design documentation. That's exactly how that process actually works. And in terms of the programming side, they usually follow established principles. In terms of the art side, they follow established principles as well. Now, on my end, I've been learning Unreal Engine 4 for at least 2 years, and I recently am getting back into Unreal Engine learning, and I'm moving into Unreal Engine 5 in terms of my learning. But Hogwarts Legacy is an Unreal Engine 4, so we'll talk about that in terms of its development. In seeing the mechanics and seeing the way they're able to create, systems that are in a sequence, like in the room, the Dark Arts Battle Arena, you can tell that the Room of Requirements is actually going to be very easy. Already, they have a lot of their systems in place in terms of magic systems, which are basically those that are in real time, like in combat, and then any other systems that you probably need in terms of that. I'm very certain that they're capable of doing that, because already their physics look solid, already their collisions look solid, their sound systems look solid, and their world streaming system also looks very solid to me. Now, the reason I said this is because if you're actually looking at how to access the Dark Arts Battle Arena, you'll notice that it's actually in a separate place. You actually have to make your way to somewhere, I think, inside of the forest, and then you access it from, a specific entryway, and it loads an entire area. Now, this Dark Arts Battle Arena, guys, is actually not inside of this little rock area. It just loads a different level, and you're capable to go in there, and everything in there is now a whole new game mode. I think if they take this approach to executing the Room of Requirement, they will definitely be successful, because now it is a place within the game that they can actually go in as a sandbox to deal with a whole lot of different things that are somewhat separate from the general game mechanics or have some exception. This is what Troy Levitt was actually putting forward here, because the toy box was something that was a breakthrough for the developers at the time. What they did was they created it. They put a little bit of, some systems together, And at the end of the day, they went ahead to test it out and put it in front of kids because that's the audience that was actually the target for this. And they realized that, the kids were actually interacting with it in a really cool way because the system apparently, and this is from the developers themselves, I never played this game. They said that system itself was something that they just wanted the player to interact in a very free way to be able to come up with fun aspects and actually build, specific worlds that will follow rules that they kind of like had put and they were arbitrary. And it provided a lot of fun for the players themselves. So when it comes to the room of requirement, I think there's no worry. I've seen a lot of people say, they're worried. Avalanche Studios, our software, guys, it's so challenging to figure out which one is which because there are two Avalanche game development studios. I'm sorry if I make a mistake in this video, but I have to go back and look at notes every single time. I'm just going to say Avalanche just for simplicity, but I think this studio is actually very much solid in a sense and very much aware in terms of understanding how to do these game mechanics and will execute the job very well. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. If you are worried or maybe if you have any concerns, leave them in the comment section. We can talk some game development stuff. If you guys want, I can show you some Unreal Engine stuff. Maybe I'll see if I can actually replicate some of the mechanics here in Hogwarts Legacy if I have time. It's just a matter of time. And I'll show you guys some examples on how I think they're actually trying to pull off some of these stuff because it's really interesting to see. This is, in my opinion, one of the more interesting, video games of the year in terms of development. Forspoken is also another one out there because that game also from a development perspective looks really, really complex and solid, but Hogwarts is also, popular as well. So we'll be looking at all of this stuff. Hopefully time permits. And I'd love to hear your thoughts again in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.